Coach, there was a couple things that you really wanted to work on in the bye week, and I think it showed today. Protecting the football, creating turnovers as a team, treating it as everything as a team. Is that the case for you guys today, or did you see the progress you would hope to see?
Yeah, I mean, that was, protecting the football was number one. We came into this game, dead last in the country in turnover margin, so we've got to fix that. You're never going to win when you're last in that statistic. And so, proud of the defense for getting us a big one there late, and then offensively, we did a good job protecting the football. We had the kick return late there where we fumbled, but that's going to be a massive point of emphasis, moving forward. And clearly we were better today at that and forcing one, and again, we had the late one unfortunately there on special teams, but we got better in that area, so that's a positive. And then we wanted to come out better in the second half, and I will say that we did come out better in the second half compared to what we have been, but it's still not where I want it to be. And again, it just when you peel it all back and you look at it, it's all self-inflicted wounds. Miscommunication by the quarterback and receiver, false start penalties, stuff like that really set you back.
Questions?
Coach, before the game you were talking about how you guys were last in the nation in turnover battle and you didn't turn the ball over on offense. How pleased are you that your team didn't turn the ball over?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely pleased. Offensively, again, when you look at Cade, he had 50 pass attempts tonight. We had 51 total pass attempts, and you don't throw any interceptions. We took no sacks there too, so that's another positive. So definitely a step in the right direction. Again, frustrated that we had one by a skilled player there on the kickoff return late. Just, again, can't happen. We shouldn't even have taken that kickoff back. That's the other part that's frustrating as well. But some positives to look at from there for sure, because you did get better in that area.
Okay, Coach, first of all, pleasure to meet you. Scott Morgan on South Florida Tribune. I was impressed when I looked at the roster for the first time. You're the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback coach. First of all, congratulations for doing all three. And second of all, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with, just people that you surround yourself with, on your staff, people that can help you in a bunch of different areas, because I do clearly have a lot on my plate. But you surround yourself with certain people that help you get everything done. And you just, I'm not a procrastinator kind of type guy. I get in early and I go to work and I get it done and then I leave. And so I think that helps me out. But more than anything, just surround myself with the right people that help me get stuff done.
And I have a follow-up to the...
Brandon? Anyone over here? Or Robbie?
Yeah, Coach, it got a little bit out of hand there in the fourth quarter, 31-7. We talked about the bad quarters, but what was Memphis able to do this time that led to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, we just bad football by us. We give up a big touchdown there, or a big pass there. Again, just a player trying to do a little bit too much. We should have stayed on top of coverage right there, and instead we undercutted, tried to make a big play. And when we do that, in that call that we had defensively, we have nobody else on top. And so that's a play where we're supposed to stay on top of coverage. And again, we got greedy and didn't do that. So that hurt there. You get to the point where you're down and, you got to get in some fourth down scenarios, right? You have a big play. We get a first down. We're about to be rolling again, holding. So now you're in 3rd and 20. We got to get out of those situations. And really, it doesn't come down to, it comes down to us being better at doing our job and not doing the self-inflicted wounds. And then, clearly late, again, talk about you had a fumble on kickoff. So right there, they had the ball right there multiple times that really inflated the score.
Some struggles in the run game. Is there any update on Sands, first of all? Is that the struggles in the run game, is that kind of what you think led to some inconsistencies with the offense in the second half?
A little bit of both. Update on Sands. We'll see where he's at. I don't think it's too bad, but again, we'll have to see what he looks like tomorrow coming in the building. I mean, we knew coming in that it was going to be a tough day sledding, running the football. They are a very good run. They're a run-first defensive kind of team, and when you look at them statistically, where their weakness has been through the air. We got to get better though. I mean, you look at it on paper right here. Xavier Trill 2 yards a carry. Jamari Sands 2.6 yards a carry. That's not going to cut it. So again, we got to find new ways to create. And again, we knew it was going to be tough coming in. We knew it was going to be probably more of the ball in the air type of game for us. But ultimately, you always got to find those little areas where you got to get better.
Coach, defensively, it was a bit of a struggle stopping the run. What do you think led to those mishaps on that end?
Yeah, we gotta fit the run better. I know that's a bland question, but that's all it really comes down to. They do a lot of eye candy, a lot of split flow zone, a lot of flat throws, quick motions with the split flow zone. And our guys we gotta have better eye discipline. We gotta make sure we're hitting our gaps, because really that's what that comes down to. And again, we gotta get lined up, we gotta play. We knew, again, he 19 attempts passing the football. We knew exactly that was gonna be the kind of game it was gonna be. And again, it really just comes back to keep having great eyes and making sure we're in our gaps. And then early too, you go watch the tape, we had some really good calls in. We're just that close from making a huge play and getting them in second long scenarios and getting them out of their rhythm on what they want to do. And it's gonna be one of those things where we've got to clean that up, and you've got to make sure we're where we need to be, and we're getting that ball and making those plays that we're supposed to make.
You mentioned, how close it was to making a big play in the backfield. It looked like you guys were getting the pressure in the backfield pretty much every play,
Yeah.
but you couldn't finish. What do you think needs to change? Obviously?
Yeah, again, just attacking leverage and stuff like that, like you're supposed to. Again, I thought we were way better today at getting after the quarterback, making them uncomfortable back there. But there's some plays, we tell our guys all the time, there's plays for you to make, and then there's plays for you not to make. But you need to do your job, and if you do your job, someone else will make that play. And today we had a couple of those scenarios where guys gotta, if you're supposed to rush the upfield shoulder, rush the upfield shoulder, not the other shoulder. And we got ourselves in some scenarios like that, where again, I think there's gonna be a handful for sure where you look up and they're in second and 14 plus, and we're gonna be in a good situation, really get them out of their rhythm, get them out of doing what they want to do, and that's pound the rock. And so again, we got to keep coaching, and we got to get our guys are playing hard, and we just got to detail it up a little bit more, and it just comes down to those little small details.
You kind of spoke about it already, but when it comes to the pass game, how do you feel about the route running and the depths of the routes? You kind of spoke about in previous weeks how you want to see improvement in that, and then when it comes to just overall production on a down-to-down basis, do you feel that this week's performance set a nice foundation to build upon, or is there still a lot that you feel like, hey, we need to get back to practice and really, hit the ground running even more to make sure this gets to another level?
Yeah, I want to hit the ground running. We got to take it to another level for sure. Again, overall, offensive production was probably just execution-wise, it was probably our best game as far as a true execution across the board when you look at 80 snaps. But again, there was a handful of killers too, and so. But again, it's super easy stuff that we just got to clean. Again, just everyone doing their job, telling the receiver to motion when he needs the motion, stuff like that. When you're the first read on the progression, get your eyes back to the quarterback so we don't hit you in the back with the football. Like some super small stuff that never ever happens Sunday through Friday. And for whatever reason, I guess the game's maybe going too fast for us at times. But I'm proud of the effort that we have, and we did get better today. Again, it starts with protecting the football. And again, you look at 51 pass attempts, no sacks given up, which again, we knew they were going to blitz us a lot sometimes, and then the next play they're going to drop 8, and so it's going to be one of those games. So proud of the offensive line when it comes to that. But definitely a step in the right direction, but we got a long way to go.
Here?
I wanted to ask you just about the penalties and your team's composure there in the fourth quarter. Half of the penalties came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Would you say that those mistakes came from just the game getting away from you guys? And what would you like to see from your defense to keep that composure in moments where there's going to be adversity and it's going to be a little rough on?
Yeah, maturity. That's what it comes down to. We talk all the time. I got a saying that I tell my guys. It's called the uncommon man, and it just talks about doing all the little things right and being somebody that most people aren't anymore. And those couple of penalties there late, that's not who we are. And that's what I just told the team in the locker room. That's one of the more things I'm more frustrated with, if anything. Just that lack of composure late. We put ourselves in that situation. And so we can't get frustrated when they're doing all that. So again, some of it is what it is, hands to the face, those kind of happen. But the other penalties, it's unacceptable, and we'll get that cleaned up this week.
Bobby?
You mentioned those penalties. It was kind of confusing from your vantage point. What kind of happened with Leon there late, and because of the ejection, is he suspended?
Yeah, I got no explanation from that one, and I didn't see that either. But something, again, I can definitely see what happens on tape and go from there.
And we've got 3 more, Brendan?
Coach, quarterback looked improved, took care of the ball. What'd you do over the bye to kind of, get him to be the confident kid that he's been in the past? And, he kind of came out here and looked like in control of the game and made some key throws, and then, dynamic in the run game as well. What did you guys work on?
Yeah, just detailing all the little things up. Again, I think when you watch those first 3 games, he was pressing at times. He was guessing at times, trying to do too much at times. And so we really just focused these last 2 weeks on like, hey man, take the right drop, get your eyes where they're supposed to be, do your progression how you're supposed to progress. You know, if this isn't here, get the ball over here. Just super easy stuff. And again, he wasn't perfect by any means. There's some areas where we still got to get better, and he can still get better. But from an overall standpoint, this was his cleanest game. Just for taking care of the football, and you know, he ran hard when we asked him to run. And so he's again, I have full confidence in him, who he is as a leader, who he is as a young man, and who he is as a football player. And so I got full confidence in him, and I think, you know, as we keep going, you know, I think the continuity will get better, the chemistry will get better, and we'll keep getting better as a unit.
Follow if I could, he had some drops. It was thrown right to receivers.
Yeah.
They happen, but how do you know, you've been an offensive coach for a while. How do you address those?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it comes back to just lack of concentration. You know, most of those things to me happen when guys feel like they're about to be open and they want to make a move before catching the ball. You know, it just goes back to just super easy fundamentals in catching the football. But yeah, I mean, that's a big part of my self-inflicted wounds, talking about that. I mean, you look at one early, you know, we hit right inside the 5-yard line, and we dropped the ball right there, and that could have been a touchdown drive. Instead, we got 3. So small stuff like that, we got to get better. And again, I think, you know, those do happen, but most of the time it's just a lack of concentration.
Okay, last 2, Brandon, and then Scott.
From an overall sense, how do you eval the play on both sides of the trenches, and how do you want to see them go from that?
Yeah, you know, offensively, in the run game, I'm not super pleased with where we're at in the run game offensively. Pass protection wise, which again, we knew we're going to get some 3-man rush sometimes. And so when they're going to do 3-man rush, you should look up and you should be clean, you know, having no sacks. It'd be interesting to see. I always do a quarterback hit chart, which says how many times the quarterback on the ground because of pass pro. So I want to see where we're at there. But ultimately, in the run game offensively, we got to get a lot better. Again, when you look up and your two running backs average 2 yards and 2.6 yards per carry, it's not good enough. And then defensively, again, I'll have to really dive into it and look to see, you know, were they whipping our tail, or were we just not in our right gaps? You know, because clearly you look up, their running back had 19 carries for 204 yards. 10.7 yards per carry. So that's a recipe for disaster right there. So I'll have to look at it there. But again, we already know we're about to go play Rice triple option next week. So they're going to run the ball every play. He's going to throw it 10 times. So we got to get better at fitting the run. That's going to be bottom line. That's going to be the number one go-to thing this next week is fitting the run better defensively.
Scott?
All right, Zach, I want to tie this one to my first question, but then I want to talk about your quarterback, because this guy, I'm seeing.
Just one. We got to get out of here.
I know, but this is combined. It'll be real quick, okay? Take my word for it. Okay, you have one voice. You know, 3 titles, one voice in the quarterback's ear. I saw it for the first time myself. Okay, that Caden Veldkamp. Tell me what kind of a quarterback is. Looks like he's got a good arm. He can really throw it into tight coverage. 349 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, no sacks. Tell the rest of my national audience on Inside the Pigskin what this kid's like, and the fact that you're able to use one voice to tie everything together with all your players together. Thank you, Katrina.
Yeah, I mean, you know, kind of just going back to what I was saying earlier, he's first and foremost, he's just a great dude. You know, everybody in the locker room loves him. He gets along with everybody. You know, again, we voted for team captains, and he had a 100% across the board vote from the team. Everybody, he was the number 1 highly rated captain vote number. And then physically, again, you know, he's 6'6", 235 pounds. He can run. You saw him tonight. When he needs to go run, he can run. Right. Got a good arm. And again, I think the biggest thing, you know, you're going to get to talk to one of my wideouts here in a second, looks like, and so you can ask him. I mean, they trust him. They know he's smart. They know that he's all about ball. He loves ball. And so he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that this team's heading in the right direction, and that he's doing his job to get these guys the ball.
Thank you.
Thank you.